Ricky, I'm looking at you next.
Hey guys, it's Ricky from Detroit, right out of Michigan. Hello. Best part of the day, definitely was dinner. Had a cauliflower crust pizza, lower carbs, and everything went well today at work. So
That's awesome, and that's delicious. I eat so late. Like, I don't know. I think maybe just being on my own or something. My life has just changed a lot. I actually started during the pandemic. I started to eat really late. Like, I have dinner at like 11. So
at night,
yeah, like I can't imagine eating right now. I can't.
see, I when I used to work afternoons, I used to get off at like 11:30 at night and then eat, and then
Yeah.
get to go back in the morning and then eat again. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, my body was just like, no.
Well, it's great to see you, Ricky. Thank you for joining. David, I'm seeing you next.
I'm David from San Antonio. The best part of my day is probably now because it's been a long day doing Zoom 341 hearings, which are hearings that are done with people who file bankruptcy and their creditors. But at one point, the debtors started screaming at the creditor, and I had to go, all right, everybody shut up and stop talking. And so then I had to reprimand, and I said to the debtor's attorney, I said, could you get your client under control here? So that was about late afternoon after having had no lunch. So I do enjoy being able to scream every once in a while, but
a little hangry.
I was very.
That makes me miss practicing law, actually.
Yeah.
So I've never told you this, but for a while before I got hired at my firm, which we practice exclusively family law, I was with a guy who had a partner that was his dad. And they did mainly family law, like 85%. And they had some bankruptcy cases too. And this is right before they like changed the law or something, making it a little more difficult. So there was this like flood of people filing for bankruptcies.
Yeah.
I went to one hearing with him. It might have been a 341, I don't know. But it was unbelievably interesting because my guy was trying to get in testimony from his client about the value of the car from Blue Book. And it was just a lot of very interesting legal wrangling. And sorry to all of our guests about that little trip down memory lane. June 9th, Stud Talk. As I mentioned earlier, it's week number 7. I can't believe that. I'm very, very proud of it. I love our guest. His name is Jonzu. I've been following him for not too long, but if you are not, there is his IG handle. You should be following him immediately. His photographs are truly, truly stunning. And I can't wait to talk about some of them with him tonight. And I've picked some really, really good ones for y'all to look at too. And now we're gonna get into the questions, even though you just saw it. Zach asked, do you remember your first Pride Parade? So a caveat before I give the answer to this and show some photos, I'm gonna say, so I quit drinking about 6.5 years ago. And so the memories of my first Pride Parade are a little cloudy. But I think I do have some photographic evidence of it. So that on the top left, I really do think that was my first Pride here in Houston. I would have been probably 23 at the time. And I was a part of and I'm dressed like a Roman soldier. There was an organization called BCBC that actually threw a big fundraiser for local HIV/AIDS charities in and around Houston. And our group was in the parade, and we're all dressed up like Roman Trojans or whatever. So a few more pictures on there are on the top right. That is me at the Berlin Pride in 2010. which put that on your wish list, because that was a tremendous amount of fun. And then on the bottom, that is at Pride Tel Aviv in
Oh my gosh.
2012. My ex and I both dressed like this, like very gay Texas, and we got a lot of folks wanted to take their picture with us, which was very funny and very nice. The Pride Parade in Tel Aviv, so that one was probably my favorite, actually, because number one, it was just such a weird and special feeling to be in the Middle East at this like rage of a Pride Parade. And it's obviously very music and bright and crowded, and but not massive. Like Berlin was like 1 million people. I mean, like ridiculous amounts of people. It feels like you kind of had your hands on, like it was like I can't say it was an intimate crowd, but as an example, like everybody at the end of the parade, they finish at the beach. Like there's a gay beach called the Hilton Beach, because the Hilton Hotel is right next to it. And so it just turns into this big beach party, which I think was really fun and cool. We had an absolute blast. Okay, another one from Zach. Do you remember your first night out as a gay man? How did that feel? I do. Let me show you the picture. So I'm sure I've told part of some of this story, or maybe it's described on my website somewhere, but during my senior year of college, I won a scholarship to study abroad through Rotary International. It was called a Rotary Ambassadorial Scholarship. And so for a full year, Rotary would pay for your education at any institution of higher learning where you could get accepted. And my thing was, I was not proficient in a second language, so I needed an English-speaking country. I had already done a little bit of study in England, and so I just wanted somewhere different. And I know I applied to a school in New Zealand and maybe one in Australia, but I got my top choice, which was the University of Cape Town. And so I studied there between 2001 and 2002. I came out of the closet to my family on Christmas in 2000. And then like I moved to South Africa like 3 weeks later or something. And so I just got this off of like Google Maps basically, but that little, I don't know how to say it exactly, the Waterkant, like that thing where it says the Waterkant House, like that little district is the gay district of Cape Town. And so if you look up like the V&A waterfront, that's a hugely popular tourist attraction with tons of shopping and restaurants and all this stuff. So the gay village in Cape Town is really central, like well situated, the whole thing. And like, I don't know, I think a lot of Americans would think sub-Saharan Africa, like there's not going to be a real thriving gay community happening, but it was completely amazing. And so when I was first there, so of course, yeah, I'm dying to go out, right? And at first I was in on-campus housing at University of Cape Town, which was a real beautiful campus. But I didn't connect with my roommate. I mean, he was like married and his wife was pregnant, and I mean, just we weren't on the same life path or whatever. Nice guy. And at the beginning, I didn't have a car. Like my Rotary Club did help me have a car, get a car at some point soon after. And I did drive like on the left for the whole year, like no accidents, all totally fine. So I know I took a taxi, which was interesting. And so to get to the gay village, so you have to drive around the mountain. So if you've seen pictures of Cape Town, there's that beautiful, completely flat mountain called Table Mountain. And so UCT was on one side. And so it was like a long taxi drive, like 35 minutes or something like that. And I'm very nervous, like I don't know anyone. I'm in a new country and continent and all that. At the time, the most popular bar clubs, the most popular bar at the time was called the Bronx. And you might have seen it on that slide just now. There was a little place called Cafe Manhattan that was still there when I was there. And the nightclub that was the most popular was called 55. So it's close enough to Studio 54 in the Bronx and Manhattan. Like for some reason, there was a little New York naming theme in the area, which I never asked or got to the bottom of that. But I went to the Bronx first, and I did end up meeting up. I met a guy, and I can't believe I'm going to tell you all this. So he's like, "Do you want to go to the hot house?" And I'm like, "What is what is that?"
What is the hot house?
So yeah, definitely in this gay village area, there's a bathhouse, and we did go there. We had a great time. We did not have full-on sex, but it was very, very nice. But also, so was the bathhouse, like really nice, like full bar. You could get a meal there. You could the jacuzzi area upstairs, like you've got a view of the mountain and like nice. I mean, I've been in some bathhouses like around the world or whatever, but like Cape Town's was really, really nice. So I did think that to wind up to I thought it was a win, actually, kind of looking back, like that was okay. Y'all, our guest is here. So could y'all give it up, give a good welcome to Jonzu, please.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Doing really great. How are you?
You look fabulous.
Thank you. Actually, I was doing this interview with Nightline like literally half an hour ago.
On what subject?
About this clubhouse in New York City called NSFW. So it's like a play and hang party. And it's, like a bisexual inclusive space.
So NSFW, that sounds kind of fun. I mean, well, when is it supposed to air?
In the next week or two.
Will you put something on Instagram when it does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Let us know. Okay, we got to get going. We had a great talk earlier in the week. Jonzu and I did, and but just to remind you, I'm going to switch between kind of talking to everybody like this and interviewing you, and doing a little PowerPoint. And so to begin, I'm going to switch over to the PowerPoint.
Awesome.
That they just asked me what my favorite dessert was. So that's the answer.
It's like pumpkin pie.
Lemon meringue.
Oh, that's a good choice.
So there he is. Welcome, Jonzu. I said this at the beginning of our program, but if y'all are not following him on Instagram, please do so immediately.
I've been over for a year.
Oh, good. Now, guys, and we're about to start our conversation. So if you could mute yourselves for now, and maybe just put something in the chat if you want me to follow up with anything, I'd appreciate it. So Jonzu, I love this photo. What's happening? Where are you?
Thank you. So I'm at a friend of mine's place in New York City. It's kind of just a random improv shoot, and this is shot by Joseph Lally. And his style specifically, like he likes to do it a little bit more analog, not as, super retouched and a lot of things going on. So he kind of just wanted to catch me like in a moment of, I don't know, it's like the night, the morning after a party or something. And I'm just like, chilling, you know, look kind of hungover, fucked up. And that's kind of the overall vibe of the shoot.
Well, I thank you for explaining that. That's very cool. So another reason I do, well, it's a lot of fun for me to prepare for these shows because I get to go stalk your Instagram page and like look at all your photos. But I got that vibe for so many of your photos are so exquisitely professional in a way, and I thought that this one looked a little more home setting.
Yeah, like he shot most of these like, what was it, like a digital camera and like one of those like old like Fuji or Fiji cameras from like 2002, just like really like real and normal kind of.
Okay, so I'm so glad you explained the detail of what that was, because look how good Jonzu still look. I mean, this is amazing. And it seemed kind of casual in a way compared to your others. So
Yeah.
that's a beautiful photograph.
Thank you so much.
Part, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
And I know folks want to hear about what you're up to now and where you are now. But let's go way back. Little Jonzu. Can you just tell me about where you grew up and your childhood and family?
Yeah.
What was it like?
So I'm a born and raised New Yorker, born in the Bronx, and then I moved shortly after to Westchester, where I spent like pretty much most of my teens. And yeah, like I grew up in the suburbs, obviously, like was the weird kid. Like I dressed pretty much like this, well, with more clothes, but I was the weird kid and I didn't have a lot of friends, and I was just like, you know, authentically weird and creative, I guess. And I guess made a career out of it. And I currently live in Queens.
So did you say any siblings?
One brother, one younger brother, who was the exact opposite of me.
Oh, okay. And so you said you came off as different out in the suburbs. That makes sense. But what about from your parents or coming out? How was all of that?
I mean, honestly, not terrible. So like my mom and dad both knew, like from jump, that obviously this is a gay man, this is a gay boy. So it wasn't a shock to them. Like I tried to do it subtly at first, like, oh, I'm bisexual. So I came out as bi when I was 15, and my mom was like, okay, sure. She knew I was 100% gay. And then when I was 18, I fully came out. But they were pretty supportive the entire time. And, you know, which is shocking because they're, you know, coming from a Caribbean background. Like they were really supportive of me, and not only supportive of me being gay, but supportive of me being creative and wanting to be an artist.
Oh, that's wonderful. We have a tradition, I guess, on our program where I have asked our guests about their coming out story and what age and kind of what happened, and now I say this almost on every program too. You know, it's a real diverse set of answers, and some are not as very positive. But I still think it's very important for folks to tell these stories because it's not, our world's not perfect. You know, like it's still scary as to come out of the closet, and can have drastic results for a lot of kids. So I appreciate you telling your story, and I'm glad to hear that your parents were behind you. Now, what did they think about your making like this into a career?
I mean, obviously at first they're like, I mean, be creative, do you, but like maybe think of that, like try to have that as like a backup thing or just like a side thing. Try to ideally be a lawyer or a doctor. And I stood my ground. I was like, I'm not doing that. Like I'm gonna be, you know, when I was young, I wanted to be a designer. So it's like, I want to be a designer. Like that's the thing I want to do. That's what I'm setting out to do. I don't care. You guys are gonna have to be on board with it. And I guess like that's the Aries in me being super fiery. Like I do not care. I will literally leave the house and figure out shit on my own if that's what it comes to.
Yeah. So you mentioned being a stylist. You did go to school for that. Is that right?
Not for styling, but for design. So I went to, yeah. So when I was in high school, I got to, like, half of the day in high school, I was doing regular school. Another half, I was studying fashion design and merchandising.
Okay.
So I did that. And then college, I also studied design again. And while I was in college, I was assisting other stylists. So it was like learning the ropes of styling and assisting editors at magazines and things like that. And I did that for 2 years or a year and a half and started freelance styling on my own.
And you like that, you like that component of modeling, the travel? Do you like it?
It's fun. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm petrified of planes. I am. I really am, but I'm on them all the time.
So any opportunities, do you think, when things open up a little more, to go international?
Oh yeah, like literally pre-pandemic, right before it started, I was in Paris and I got back maybe a day or two before the actual pandemic started here in the US. So I got lucky, but that was probably one of my favorite trips I've ever taken. I got to like experience so much out there in Europe.
So, sorry. We talked about this. One of my last trips before pandemic was, I was in LA and I did a few photo shoots. And I wanted to ask you about Gabriel. Did y'all get, how did y'all find each other? Or I don't know if you can tell me about the project, but what was the experience like with him?
I mean, I think we just like randomly found each other on Instagram. Like, I don't know who found who first, but we just followed each other, liked a bunch of each other's posts and started DMing and talking. And, you know, we were the first time I was in California, which was, I think, early April, we were going to shoot, but it didn't pan out. But the second time, you know, the schedules aligned and we made something happen. And he's great. He's like so chill, so awesome, super sweet.
I just think the sweet, funny, like funny personality and like crazy good photographer. Let me just tell our guests. So if I know I've had a picture or more on here before of his, but it's Hollywood Bruisers. So Hollywood with an _, Bruisers is his page. And Jonzu included, the men on that page are kind of next level, like really, really good stuff.
I've actually been dying to do a shoot riding a horse. Like, that is definitely on the bucket list of shooting.
Have you told your agent?
No, I probably should.
You just, if you put it out there, then you know they'll think of you first, I would think. So we are ending the time of our nearing the end of our program. And I want to, number one, just really thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed. Of course,
I did. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I do like to ask all of our guests. You know, you really are putting yourself out there with these beautiful pictures on Instagram and getting a lot of affirmation, I'm sure, for it. For a person that is thinking about getting into that game and sharing these photographs of themselves, like, what would your best advice be?
That's a good question. I would say be ready and be okay with hearing no. You know, there are going to be, you know, especially if you're a model, there are going to be many agencies, many photographers, many artists that are going to tell you no. And I still, to this day, get no quite often. Or, you know, I'm put up for a job and I don't get it because I'm up against thousands of other guys. And you got to be okay with that and just keep trucking.